Welcome to Daily Current Affairs by CivicCentreIAS, where we try to discuss the top 10 important topics for the UPSC CSE Prelims for the day from the Hindu, the Indian Express and the PIB. Displayed are the list of topics which we have chosen for today's discussion. The first article of the day says that with Maharashtra reporting India's first case of avian influenza among animals, the Union Animal Husbandry Ministry sent a circular to all states on Sunday urging them to quarantine infected or symptomatic tigers and other feline species to prevent transmission to humans and other animals. In this context, we'll talk about avian influenza, or even it is called the bird flu. See, it is a highly contagious viral infection affecting birds, especially wild and domestic poultry. See, basically it is a subtype of the influenza A virus. Significantly, first identified in 1996 as highly pathogenic H5N1 in domestic waterfowl in southern China. Now, talking about its transmission, see, the human infections are rare but occur occasionally. Person-to-person transmission is difficult, and notably the mortality rate is 60% according to WHO. Furthermore, the symptoms range from mild to severe, where the mild symptoms include fever, cough, muscle aches, where the severe symptoms include pneumonia, difficulty in breathing, cognitive issues like altered mental status, seizures, etc. Moving on to talk about the avian influenza in India. See, with respect to the initial outbreak, the first case was reported in 2006 in Navapur of Maharashtra, followed by annual outbreaks. Then the H5N8 detected in November 2016 affected wild birds across 5 states. Furthermore, reported in 24 states and 9 territories, leading to culling of over 9 million birds. Furthermore, the control policy was based on detect and cull strategy under the National Action Plan for Prevention, Control and Containment of Avian Influenza. Now, talking about its treatment, see, antivirals reduce the severity and mortality in the human cases. The second article of the day says that the Congress on Sunday termed the Great Nicobar Island Infrastructure Project a recipe for ecological and humanitarian disaster, and said that the Prime Minister should immediately order a pause and set up an independent panel to review it. In this context, we'll talk about the Great Nicobar Project. See, it is a multi-development initiative for the strategic and holistic development of Great Nicobar Island. Know that, cleared by the Ministry of Environment in the year 2022, the project spans 30 years and aims to strengthen India's strategic presence and infrastructure in the region. Now, what are the key objectives of it? So, firstly, with respect to the strategic importance, it is to counter the expansionist activities by neighboring countries like China, and secondly, to safeguard the maritime interests and curb illegal activities such as poaching by Myanmarese fishers. Then, if we have to talk about the infrastructure development with respect to it, see, the infrastructure is valued at 72,000 crore rupees. And some of the key components of this infrastructure development are International Container Transshipment Terminal, Greenfield International Airport, Township Development, and a 50 MVA power plant. Now, talking about its geographical context, see, it is located in the southernmost island of the Andaman and Nicobar group, near the Indira Point, less than 150 kilometers from Indonesia. Talking about its ecosystem, see, it is tropical wet evergreen forests, mountain ranges and coastal plains. Furthermore, there are 2 national parks, a biosphere reserve and endangered species like the leatherback sea turtle. Now, what is the impact of this project on the indigenous tribes? So, with respect to tribal population, the Nicobar Island or the Andaman and Nicobar are home to Shompan, who are the hunter-gatherers and Nicobarese tribes. Furthermore, proposed denotification of 84 square kilometers of 751 square kilometers tribal reserve for the project. Know that the current population is approximately 237 Shompan and 1094 Nicobarese. Now, what are the environmental and seismic considerations under it? See, it is leading to deforestation, where 13,075 hectares of forest land to be diverted. Also, approximately 9.64 lakh trees are expected to be felled. Also, there are other seismic risks because the region is seismically active, experiencing a 9.2 magnitude earthquake in 2004. Furthermore, smaller quakes are anticipated, with a major event unlikely for 400 to 750 years. Now, talking about the Great Nicobar Island, See, this is the southernmost island of the Nicobar Islands archipelago. Then, what are the ecological characteristics of it? See, it is home to the Great Nicobar Biosphere Reserve, which includes the tropical wet green forests, mountain ranges, and coastal plains. And as we have already talked, Shompen and Nicobarese are the tribes, indigenous tribes of this island. The third article of the day says that at around 8:20 a.m. on Saturday, a vehicle ran over and claimed a life on NH 117 in Assam's Bangonian district. Soon, the residents from the nearby villages gathered and sat in protest, blockading the highway, drawing authorities to the site. Placed before them with a traditional gamoza reverentially shrouding it was the body of a victim, which is a rare golden langur, whose home was the nearby Kakonjina Reserve Forest. In this context, we'll talk about the golden langur. See, it is a old world monkey, significantly recognized for their golden fur, which changes color based on season and geography. Furthermore, juveniles are distinct with almost pure white fur. Significantly, the arboreal species living in the upper camphany of the forest are also known as the leaf monkeys. Now, what about its habitat? See, it is endemic to western Assam of India and also southern Bhutan. Then, with respect to the conservation efforts, see, a conservation breeding program was initiated in 2011 for them by the Central Zoo Authority at the Assam State Zoo. Talking about its protection status, see, under the IUCN and Red List, it is under endangered category. Then, with respect to sites, it is under Appendix 1. Whereas, with respect to Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it is under Schedule 1. Moving on to talk about the Kakaujana Reserve Forest. See, it is located in the Bangaguan district of Assam. Know that it was constituted in the year 1966 as a reserve forest. Furthermore, the reserve is one of the better known homes of the golden langur. The next article says that Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin announced on Sunday a $1 million cash prize for the experts or organizations that succeeded in deciphering the scripts of the Indus Valley civilization for everyone to be understood. In this context, we will talk about the Indus script. See, it is a collection of symbols as used by the Indus Valley civilization for the communication. Furthermore, they are found on seals, pottery and artifacts with short inscriptions of pictorial and abstract symbols. Furthermore, it remains undeciphered due to lack of bilingual texts and linguistic connections to the later scripts. What about its material form? As I said, it appears on the seals, pottery, bronze tools, stoneware bangles, bones, shells, ivory, statite, bronze and copper tablets. Talking about the seals, there are square seals with the script at the top and animal motifs in the center. Know that they are made of statite, silver, faience or calcite. Also, it is likely used for the identification, trade and administrative purposes. Now, what are the characteristics of the script? Firstly, approximately around 400 basic signs were identified, where 31 occur more than 100 times. Secondly, most likely they are used as logosyllabic system combining logographic word signs and phonetic syllables. Also, the writing direction was Bostrophidan, where it is alternating right to left and left to right lines. Lastly, with respect to numeral system, it is based on the decimal system. For example, strokes for units, semicircles for tens, etc. Now, what are the challenges with respect to deciphering? Firstly, there are no bilingual tests. Secondly, they are very short inscriptions. Thirdly, the language is unknown, where the speculative links to the Dravidian, Indo-European, Austrostatic or lost language families. Also, there was no continuity with respect to script, where the Indus script did not evolve into later Indian scripts. So the script disappeared with the Indus civilization, where no connection to the Vedic culture. The next article says that the foreign portfolio investors started 2025 on a selling spree, offloading 4,285 crore worth of domestic equities on a net basis in the first 3 trading days of the new year, amidst strong dollar, higher US bond yields and caution ahead of the release of the third quarter results of the corporates. In this context, we'll talk about the foreign portfolio investments. See, the FPI or the foreign portfolio investments refer to the purchase and holding of a wide array of foreign financial assets by investors seeking to invest in a country outside their own. Now, some of the examples of the FPI include stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange traded funds, American depository receipts, and global depository receipts. You have to know that FPI is a part of the country's capital account and is shown on its balance of payments. Now, furthermore, the FPI generally intends to invest money into the foreign country's stock market to generate a quick return. Know that in India, the foreign portfolio investment is regulated by the Securities and Exchange Board of India. We call that in short as SEBI. Now, also know that the FPI in India refers to investment groups or the foreign institutional investors and qualified foreign investors. Now, what drives the flow of FPI into a country? See, the factors such as economic stability, growth prospects, favorable regulatory environments, and attractive returns draw the FPI into a country. But there are also the risks associated with FPI. Some of the risks include currency fluctuations, political instability, different regulatory environments, and economic volatility in the foreign market. Significantly, FPI in India is often referred to as hot money because of its tendency to flee at the first signs of trouble in an economy. Now, FPI is more liquid, volatile, and therefore you can say it's more riskier compared to FDI. Now, there are a few factors influencing the FPI behavior at present. Firstly, with respect to the global trends, a strong US market and dollar made other emerging markets, including India, less attractive. Furthermore, despite the inclusion of Indian stocks in the MSCI indices, FPIs remains underweight on Indian equities. Then, with respect to the domestic challenges, there are high valuations of Indian equities. At the same point of time, below expected macroeconomic indicators like the GDP growth and corporate earnings. The next article says that after worsening in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020-21, income inequality in India has reduced in 2022-23, suggesting effective post-pandemic recovery measures. A working paper released by the People Research on India's Consumer Economy showed. However, there is entrenched concentration of the wealth among top income earners, which coupled with the struggles of the bottom 10%, signals the need for sustained, inclusive economic strategies according to the paper. In this context, we'll talk about the Gini coefficient or the Gini index. See, the Gini coefficient measures the income distribution inequality ranging from 0, which shows the perfect equality, where 1 shows the perfect inequality. Know that it is developed by the Italian statistician Corrado Gini. Now, what does this Gini coefficient measure? See, the range of it is, as I said, 0 to 1, where 0 shows the perfect equality and 1 shows perfect inequality. Now, with respect to applications, it measures the inequality in income, wealth, consumption, and life expectancy. Now, what are the methods for calculating this Gini coefficient? First, we have the expected income gap method, where this method examines the expected difference in the incomes between any two randomly chosen individuals relatively to the mean income. Now, with the perfect equality means no gap and the Gini coefficient is 0, where the perfect inequality is maximum gap, where the Gini coefficient is 1. Then we have the Lorentz curve analysis, where it shows the cumulative income distribution across the population segments. So the line of equality represents perfect income equality. Now, what is the formula for the calculation? See, Gini coefficient is equals to A divided by A plus B, where area A is the gap between the Lorentz curve and the line of equality, and A plus B denotes the total area, which is the area under the line of equality. Now, perfect equality means the Lorentz curve matches the line of equality, whereas the perfect inequality means the Lorentz curve runs along the bottom axis. Now, these are the key trends with respect to income distribution in India, which are measured through the Gini index trends. The next article says that in the last week of December of 2024, the rupee breached the 85 mark against the US dollar, touching an all-time low of 85.81%. 85.81. In this context, we'll talk about the rupee depreciation. So what causes a currency to depreciate? See, the currency value in the forex market is determined by the demand and supply dynamics. So a currency depreciates when its demand decreases or the supply increases relative to other currencies. Now, so as we have already talked just now, the determinants of supply and demand. Firstly, talking about the supply, see, it is influenced by the country's monetary policy. So a looser monetary policy increases the currency supply leading to depreciation, whereas a tighter monetary policy reduces the supply causing appreciation. Then with respect to demand, it is driven by the foreign interest in a country's goods and assets, where high demand for the exports and investments strengthens the currency and low demand weakens it. Now, what are the reasons behind the present rupee fall? The first one is the short-term factors. In this, the first one is the foreign investor exit, where the global investors are withdrawing the funds from the emerging markets like India due to monetary policy shifts and investing in the advanced economies. Secondly, the central banks worldwide are recalibrating the policies after pandemic-induced tightening. So India's policies are perceived as less favorable compared to others. Whereas there are also the long-term trends where the Reserve Bank of India has maintained relatively a loose monetary policy, resulting in higher inflation compared to the United States. Then the third factor is the high import dependency, where the India's reliance on the crude oil and the gold increases the dollar demand, weakening the rupee. Then lastly, we have the low export growth, where the insufficient exports fail to generate significant demand for the rupee. Now, what is the role played by RBI? See, the RBI uses its foreign exchange reserves to stabilize the rupee by selling the dollars. So, as of December 2024, India's forex reserves fell to $640 billion from $700 billion in September. So, without RBI's intervention, rupee depreciation would have been worse. Now, what would be the implications of the rupee depreciation? Firstly, the essential imports like the crude oil become more expensive. Secondly, higher import costs contribute to domestic inflation. Thirdly, depreciation can make Indian exports cheaper and more competitive globally, though structural issues limit benefits. Now, what is RBI's approach? See, RBI allows gradual rupee depreciation to maintain economic stability. So, it aims to avoid excessive volatility that could disrupt the trade and financial markets. See, the next article talks about the draft digital personal data protection rules. See, the data digital protection rules aim to safeguard citizens' rights for the protection of their personal data. These rules seek to operationalize the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023, in short called the DPDP Act, in line with India's commitment to create a robust framework for protecting digital personal data. In this context, we'll also talk about the draft Digital Personal Data Protection Rules of 2023. See, the draft Digital Personal Data Protection Rules of 2023 aim to implement the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023 with a focus on safeguarding India's citizens' rights and ensuring protection of personal data in India's rapidly growing digital ecosystem. Talking about the key features of the data draft rules, firstly, with respect to citizens' rights and empowerment, see, the data fiduciaries must clearly inform citizens about how their personal data is processed, ensuring informed consent. Then the citizens have the right to request the data erasure, appoint digital nominees, and manage their data through accessible mechanisms. Furthermore, the provisions are included to ensure the online safety of children, with parents and guardians empowered to manage their data. So the second one or the next one is the balanced approach between innovation and regulation, where these rules aim to balance data protection with fostering economic growth. But the rules do not impose overly restrictive measures, encouraging innovation while ensuring the personal data protection. Significantly, there is compliance feasibility, where the smaller businesses and startups face lighter compliance burden compared to larger corporations. So they are provided with adequate time to transition to compliance. Then it also aims at digital first governance, where the rules emphasize a digital by design approach with digital platforms for consent mechanisms, grievance redressal, and the functioning of the data protection board. So the data protection board will function digitally, allowing for quick, transparent, and remote handling of complaints. Also, with respect to stakeholder-centric design, see, smaller businesses and significant data fiduciaries will have differentiated compliance regulations. So, additional data protection requirements can apply to specific sectors, complementing the broader framework. Lastly, the data fiduciaries may voluntarily resolve issues by offering undertakings, which, if accepted, may lead to the dismissal of these certain penalties. Also, there is accountability and audits, where significant data fiduciaries will be subject to annual data protection impact assessments and audits, ensuring compliance with data protection norms. Also, you can observe the inclusive and transparent decision lawmaking, where the rules are based on the global best practices and extensive stakeholder consultations. Significantly, the public feedback on the draft rules is invited until the 18th of February of 2025 through MyGov portal. The last article of the day says that the Union government is set to launch another round of production-linked incentive scheme for the steel sector, according to the Union Ministry of Steel in a statement on Monday. In this context, we'll talk about the production-linked incentive scheme. See, this scheme is a significant initiative by the Government of India aimed at enhancing manufacturing capabilities, promoting exports, and creating employment opportunities across multiple sectors. Know that it is a core element of India's strategy to establish itself as a global manufacturing hub in line with the Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India initiatives. Significantly launched in 2020, the scheme has already achieved substantial investment and output in the key sectors. Now, talking about the key features and objectives of the PLI scheme. See, the PLI scheme is designed to incentivize the domestic manufacturing in strategic sectors by offering incentives linked to incremental production. Furthermore, it aims to promote innovation and technological advancement, then boost the manufacturing output, then enhancing the export competitiveness, also generating employment, particularly in MSMEs, and lastly, to reduce import dependency, particularly for critical materials and components. Now, what are the key sectors covered under it? See, the scheme is applicable to 14 crucial sectors, focusing on both the traditional and emerging industries. So, the sectors are electronics, pharmaceuticals, medical devices, automobiles and auto components, specialty steel, telecom and networking products, white goods, food products, textiles, solar PV modules, advanced chemistry cell batteries, and lastly, drones and drone components. This is with respect to the performance and achievements as of August 2024 achieved by the scheme. So, in this video, we have discussed 9 articles in total for today. We'll be back again with another video tomorrow. Thank you.